What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so on the same forum where Gilbert Arenas spewed that ridiculous nonsense about Kobe Bean Bryant, uh, only being compared to Scottie Pippen and being seen as a sidekick and only a sidekick after he won the third title. The revisionist history continued on that same format. Stephen A. Smith, you're a joke. You didn't challenge it one iota. Then Tracy McGrady come up there and now, look, I like Tracy. And I defend Tracy from a lot of people who feel like he's not a Hall of Famer. I think he is a Hall of Famer. I mean, because when you look at the entirety of the 2000s decade, he averaged 26 points per game. So that's a decade of dominance from him as far as being an individual player. You know, if we're going to say Draymond Green a Hall of Famer, then how can you say Tracy McGrady is not one based upon what now constitutes a Hall of Famer? But to sit up here and act like Kobe Bryant is only Kobe Bryant because he played with Shaq, then explain to me how he was able to win back-to-back titles with Pau Gasol, who wasn't anything near a Shaq when he was drafted, wasn't projected to be anything like a Shaq, and wasn't able to take his team to the postseason many years, and wasn't able to get any wins in the postseason. He was with the Memphis Grizzlies. Hell, Chris Bosh had more individual success with the Raptors than Pau Gasol did with the Grizzlies before that trade. But now here comes Tracy saying that, well, if you swap me with the Lakers, we're not winning titles. Well, I think that you guys probably, because the Lakers were a great team, and Phil Jackson was a great coach, and that was a great organization before Jenny Buss got her hands on it, right? When the great Dr. Jerry Buss was running their organization, you had Shaq and you had all those pieces, you know, and let's not forget, I mean, the Lakers were clearly favored over every team they played in the finals. So, yeah, I could conceive of them winning some championships, but I don't think they would have been as dominant with Tracy as it was with Kobe. Because one of the things that you could never say about Kobe Bryant was one of the things I should say that you could say about Kobe Bryant that you couldn't say about Tracy McGrady is Kobe never took a day off. Kobe never could just rely on his skill set. And Tracy, as great as he is, and great as he was, didn't have the work ethic that Kobe Bean Bryant had. And that's not to say he didn't have a work ethic, but Kobe Bean Bryant's probably, he might just be the hardest working basketball player in NBA history. I'm pretty sure of saying that, you know. If he's not, he's right there. He's right there with anybody else. And when you take on the fact that you got Shaq, who already had his discipline issues, you know, Shaq needed somebody, in my opinion, like a Kobe, to stay on his ass and push him. That personality. It's not even a thing about skill set. You needed somebody of Kobe's personality set to check Shaq when Shaq is shown up training camp, 400 pounds, you know what I'm saying, after a summer diet of, you know, cheeseburgers and chasing hookers and strippers or whatever the hell he was engaged in. You know, he needed somebody that's going to give him more of a drive to have a more Spartan lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, during the regular season, get more discipline. I'm not saying that Tracy is some feeble pushover, but he's not the personality Kobe Bryant was. And yeah, you could argue that friction led to that partnership breaking up quicker, And I could see Tracy and Shaq lasting longer, but I don't think they'd have been as successful because they wouldn't have been pushing each other as much, you know? And another problem with Tracy is that unfortunately he had like a 3 to 4 year window only where he was at that level. So the question is, could they have won championships with Tracy if he was inserted in that role? Probably. But he's not Kobe Bean Bryant. He never was. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? I was watching basketball, and not just watching it, I was engaged in the basketball culture and the talk back then and how people perceive these players. And at the end of the day, Tracy McGrady was great, but he was not perceived as great as Kobe Bryant. First of all, he wasn't as dedicated on the defensive end as Kobe Bean Bryant was. Another thing, too, is that as great as Tracy McGrady is, he could be a little bit inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? One night, Tracy might drop 47. The next night, you know, he could struggle on a 7 for 25 type night. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, another thing, too, I remember about Tracy, sometimes against the top tier talent in the NBA, he could be Gervinized. And by that, I mean, he can be shut down a little bit and beat up on the bottom feeders. I'm just saying, I never thought that Tracy was on the level of Kobe. And when I say on the level, I'm not saying Tracy wasn't great, but it's levels to this, man. And I'm getting tired of this thing where it's like you have certain entities now. You got certain players who feel like that they haven't been given their due. And it's like they're making these bargains with these other people who have ulterior motives, usually with clutch. And they're basically trying to attack, oftentimes, either people who don't speak out much in the media, like Michael Jordan. That's what we're looking forward to him coming out next year with NBC. Or people who aren't here to defend themselves at all anymore, like Kobe Bean Bryant. And it's getting sickening. I'm going to say this too. I cannot see Kobe Bean Bryant playing for the Orlando Magic teams and definitely those Houston Rocket teams and never getting out of the first round. I can't see it. I mean, in 2006 and 2007, Kobe was giving, you know what I'm saying, the Suns all they could on a team where his best teammate was Lamar Odom. Kobe put one of the worst, I'll put it like this. Kobe took one of the worst rosters in the history of the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. Look at that roster in 2006 outside of Kobe and Lamar Odom. He took one of the worst rosters in the history of the Lakers franchise, went out there and dropped 35 points a night and led them to, I believe, the 7th seed in the West. And the West was no joke back then. But yet Tracy McGrady in an Eastern Conference that was far more far weaker, couldn't get out of the first round. Infamously blew a 3-1 lead against the Detroit Pistons before they became the Detroit basketball mid-2000s, Pistons. Dropped a 3-1 lead in the first round. So, I don't know, man. I don't see it. And we got to stop this. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.